So I'm welcoming Rachael again to her second appearance. And I love introducing Rachael to everybody in the community because she's really bubbly. She's really fun to chat to. We get on really well. And so when we talk, it usually goes on for a while. Like, for instance, we connected at 9:15. It's now 10:15. We was meant to record almost straight away. So we've just been like chewing the fat for an hour. And we've sold everything from education to tutoring to future plans of myself and for Rachael. So it's always lovely to connect. In particular today, I've actually asked quite a selfish question for Rachael, which is just to come and talk a little bit about the 6-week course which Rachael was a part of in it was back in October, wasn't it, Rachael?
Yeah.
What was the major overall impact, do you think, of attending the 6 weeks?
So it was, for me, it was because I was much further on than everyone that was in the group that I joined. For me, it was a real reflection and looking at like the support and the advice that you were giving out. How does that impact what I am doing now and what I have already done, and then how can I learn from that? So it was just complete refocus really on where am I going with this business, what do I now want out of it, and planning. Let's plan. What can I do to plan for going forward now?
Yeah.
Another thing that I didn't mention to you before was also like sharing, not just taking from you and what you know and your words of wisdom, but what do I know that helps the other people in that group as well.
So important as that community, isn't it? And they're often quite small, like intimate groups, aren't they? They're not. There's not like hundreds and hundreds of people. There's usually a group of, I think 11 signed up to the October one, but mainly about 6 or 7 attended the lives, and people would catch up. And so it's an intimate group where we all get to know each other a little bit more, and the way of sharing is quite easy, and people really respond to each other's like advice. So that's really nice.
Definitely. And open to sharing and asking those questions as well, I think, weren't we? That was good.
Yeah. So that's I mean, the big part of the beginning part of the course is about that business strategy, and that's one thing which we were chatting before. I was saying that actually that session seems quite squished, so I'm actually going to separate that out into 2, which is that business purpose is now going to be session 1, and business strategy is going to be session 2, because it just feels like you said there, like that reason why we want to do it. That I don't think in the first courses, that although I do put the emphasis on it and I want people to really delve deep into it, I feel like perhaps I've gone, I want you to think about your reason why you're doing it and give you 5 minutes. And then we move straight into the strategy, which if you haven't really thought about your why, it's going to be harder to do. So I want to make sure people feel way more supported in that area. So we've split that into 2, which is why it's going to one of the reasons why it's going to an 8-week course now, because this part is the foundation of your business in your life. So I want to put a lot more emphasis on it.
And it's reason, I think as well, off that, it's realizing, like for me again, I'd had that experience of starting my business, and on reflection, I can go, so that would have worked really well. But when you're in that moment and you are just starting, you don't necessarily know how that's going to impact you or what that means for your business, do you? So to extend that, to give you that time to kind of process it all maybe and think, okay, I had thought about this, but by the next session I've gone, actually, that idea I had before could work, and I could now reintroduce, and it's that meaning then, isn't it, to someone who's new?
And if you're a teacher and you're listening to this because you're wondering whether the course is going to be like right for you, you might go, ideas, like what are they? We often don't trust ourselves, and we're either just looking for that exit plan, or perhaps you've already left and you're doing supply and you're not sure whether this is the right thing for you, because I don't have any ideas. Often once you start and you give yourself a little bit of space, a little bit of headspace, you'll be wondering like where these ideas are coming from. You'll go, that's an idea. I can do this. I can do this. I was walking around a show a couple of weeks ago, that's about 6 weeks ago now, which is quite scary. And there was some coding stands there, some computer coding stands, and there was these amazing resources. And I was just chatting to the guy going, oh my God, this is amazing. I reckon I could do a whole workshop on this. I could do a level 1, a level 2. And I actually ended up, the guy I think was happy to see the back of me, because I was like, look, this is really good for starting out children who are like 7 to 9. But
Yeah.
let's say I've got like a group and I've taken them through 6 weeks and they're now really expert at doing this coding thing on
Yeah.
your piece of equipment. What do I do with them next? What's the
Yeah.
level 2?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was like, oh, I don't know. And I was like, but there's
Yeah.
Scratch. Scratch is similar. Like, this is the physical
Yeah.
version of Scratch. I can see how that works,
Yeah.
but I don't feel like they'd be ready to go straight to Scratch. I wonder if
Yeah.
there is another bit.
Uh-huh.
And he was like, no, I
Yeah.
don't know. Don't know. I think it
Yeah.
was like, just go and
That's
have your
fine.
lunch, mate. Go and have your
Yeah.
lunch now. But you will. So if you are
Yeah.
kind of feeling like, do you know what? I just don't know whether I'm going to have enough ideas and there's something to run. You will surprise yourself in 6 months' time if you're just leaving or you're planning on leaving. You'll have loads and you won't know what to do with them. Yeah, thanks, Rach. So I think the next bit is that was the overall like connection back with the
Yeah.
business plan and looking at your reasons why you want to do it. And I
Mm-hmm.
suppose like that day-to-day task, not being task driven, but knowing that there are things to be done.
Yeah.
And it's going to point you all in the right direction. Was there any
Yeah.
like one thing that you got out of it, like that major part of the learning that you go, do you know what? That was the bit that I've really kind of attached myself to that has really
Yeah.
impacted me since.
It will definitely the business plan and what do
Yeah.
I want to do and what do I want to build,
Okay.
which I'd also started because I'd done a previous business course, introduction to. So
Yeah.
again, being that further on. So like as you said, someone who might just be starting out and is thinking of leaving or have just left, actually like the purpose of me talking to you today is because I had already left. I had
Mm,
started a business. It was established, not massively, but it was, well, yeah, it was growing and it continues. So
mm,
it's still worthwhile someone like me coming to do that course to go, actually, what do I now need to, what needs to be that refocus? So yes, the impact was I need to refocus. The refocus was the plan. And
mm,
what was the plan? Was to sit down and make sure it was detailed and done properly. I still need to find that time. But then it was also to go groups. We're going to build groups,
yeah.
and that's the massive future plan
So
for
that's
me.
so from attending the course, like
Yeah,
refocusing back in, looking at what your business plan is, the direction you want to go, that's
yeah,
led you to go. It needs to be some
yeah,
sort of groups. Doesn't have to be full
yeah.
fully groups through the week, but
No,
something. Okay.
something. Yeah, yeah. And again, the idea of the first group that I was going to set up was SAT
Mm,
support. Um, but time
mm,
management is not my strength, as probably is for many of us, isn't it? But it's there. That's the plan. I know what it's going to look like. I just haven't had time to action it. So off the back of the course, I did make that long-term plan, and it was quite detailed. I just haven't got around to going, right, what's it going to look like when I market this? How am I going to reach out? Who are the people that I need to reach to? And what
mm,
is my advert, if you like, what's that going to look like?
mm,
Um, so that's there for next year. So I know, well, even for coming for September, because I know I want existing year five parents to be getting on board ahead of
mm,
September.
mm,
And I want to kick it off so we've got a good amount of time
mm.
to do that.
Well, so anybody who's watched the very first episode or listened to the very first episode of the podcast will know that you started by putting yourself on YouTube doing over lockdown. And so if you
Yeah.
haven't seen that, go back and listen to it or watch it. I think
Happy
that
to
one
share the link of the YouTube channel as well if anybody wants
definitely
to watch.
will share that. Definitely will share
Yeah.
that. I definitely go and watch it because it is fascinating. Because a lot of people go, I don't know how to start, and people will go, well,
Yeah.
start with leaflets, yeah, great. Start with creating a Facebook page, yeah, great. Not Rachael. Rachael will go, let's go straight to YouTube, and which wasn't actually about starting a business at all, but it
No.
just developed from there. And if you want a really unique take on how to start a business, go and listen, because it's just worth it. But on
Yeah.
the back of
Absolutely.
that, like you are now comfortable
Yeah.
putting yourself out there, and if you're inside the group, you might have seen Rachel's post last week about TikTok and the
Yeah.
kind of traction you've started to get on there. And I think
Yeah.
quite naturally, I mean, I've said this to you off screen as well, quite naturally, you just have an engaging personality and an engaging presence. So when you put yourself out there, people are actually, I quite like this, or I quite
Yeah.
like this person. I'm gonna follow her, or I'm gonna watch a bit more.
Yeah.
What do you, if someone was starting out brand new, so they haven't been visible, they haven't got a Facebook page, they haven't got anything yet, what would be your advice to those guys who are like, oh, they don't know where to start? What would you say?
Be brave.
Okay.
Have an idea of what you would ideally like it to look like, but know what you're comfortable with doing. But maybe think about pushing yourself, because again, we've said this off screen. I've said it on the podcast that we recorded before. I've said it in the groups as well. Yes, I'm confident in front of the camera, not just recording, because that's the key. Is actually there. Add that to the list for people to do. Record something. Don't be afraid to record it. My very first post, and it sits on my YouTube channel, that I put out during lockdown, I'd recorded about 6 times and edited it before I uploaded it to my YouTube channel and probably my Facebook page as well, I think. And I remember the sweaty palms, my heart racing, feeling really nervous about this. But it was recorded. So, it didn't matter. But then it's the perception, isn't it? And what are people going to think of it? And are people going to watch it? Are people going to like it? Are people going to criticize me? But actually, that started the momentum then. So I then just got to a point where, do you know what? Let's go for a live. And I love a live. I love like you say, Q&A, anything then to go, right, I'm going to explore this now. So yeah, TikTok's where the kids are mostly. But we know, we've talked about this in the course as well, didn't we? That it's there for business purpose too, which I've kind of tried to dabble in. But actually, that's not got momentum at the minute. The thing that's got momentum is putting stuff on TikTok for the kids. And I don't just mean stupid TikTok videos. I've been doing some stats reads.
You're not dancing, are you?
I have done in the past.
Oh, I mean, there is space for that, by the way. But the ones that I've seen, you're not dancing.
Yeah,
That's
no. No, in fact, I did put some on and I took them down because my girls were cringing. We did some lockdown laughs and I did some silly stuff to make people laugh. But the point of the account on there now is, I know that the refocus is away from the YouTube channel, which we've said, haven't we? That the focus there was parents, families, how to support learning at home, whereas the TikTok is, here you go, kids. This is what you need to do, and the quick minute and a half videos that they'll happily sit and watch and go, oh, I know how to do that. Or them going, oh, I've done that and I got it right. I'm just going to share it with my mates. So nearly 27,000 views later on one of my videos, and then I said in the group, haven't I, that my YouTube channel in 3 years has got 17,000 views on the whole channel.
Nice.
One video on TikTok that's about 1:40 has 27,000 views.
Wow.
So it's it's a different audience, we know, but I'm being exposed to people on it. People know who Sean is, people know who Mrs. is.
I think like the thing that always comes into my mind when things like this happen and you get that traction, it's like, right, okay, leverage it. Like, what are you going to put? This is where the business plan comes in. What are you pointing these people towards? Like, so if you've got an audience like this and you've maybe gone viral, or even like, this is what I call sort of mini viral, where you're getting lots of eyes on your business, right? It's pretty, I was saying this about your YouTube channel, because when you sort of dig into your videos, people might look at it and go, it's only got like, that video's only got like 1,000 views. Oh, actually, it's really bloody hard to get 1,000 views, by the way. On YouTube. It's really
I've got
hard.
one video on YouTube that's got just over 1,000 views. Everything else is hundreds.
Yeah, and people will go, oh, crikey, that's not a lot. Okay, it's not a lot, but actually we're building a business off the back of it. You don't need to go viral to make it work. But if you've got eyes on your business somewhere and you're going to point them to, I don't know, whatever, a service or a course or your tuition, it's like, that's where you win. So if you have a TikTok that's going really well, or that your messages is being well received, you do a TikTok where there's a link to your webpage, you do a TikTok where there's a link to your YouTube channel, you do it where you point them where you want them to land. So it could just be a landing page, it could be wherever, but like, I'm going to do a 6-week course on SATs that's going to start in there, and it takes them towards it. So now you're thinking customer journey, but this comes from being really focused on why you're doing it in the first place,
Yeah.
big
Yeah.
purpose,
Yeah.
and where you want them to go. What's the bigger purpose for your client
Yeah.
as well? So I love these stories, and I love that you put yourself out there, because I
Yeah.
think it's encouraging for others, people to go, oh, if that person's doing it, and I know I can
Yeah.
do it, and also
Give it a go.
demystify some of it as well.
Yeah,
So
completely.
be
Exactly.
brave,
Definitely.
and just
Be
go
brave.
for it.
Yeah. Be brave, be confident, do it,
Yeah.
push yourself out of that comfort zone. Because I
Yeah.
think it's adrenaline. I get a buzz off it. I used to host some live lessons on a Friday
Mm.
morning and a Thursday. I think for quite some time I put a lot of time into giving free live lessons. And I gained quite a few homemade families that were regulars and would come on every week for my free live
Mm.
lesson. But that wasn't viable for my business as the
Mm.
business then started to grow. But what I had done is I'd use my social media platform free for me
Mm.
to, yes, okay, maybe I put a lot of hours into it, but what did I get off the back of that? I've got those parents then sharing it in other groups. I've then got 3 homemade families that I support, and that all comes about from, you
Mm.
know, that online presence,
It's
doesn't it? And where
visibility.
it lead and who shares it, and
It was
it's
another shameless plug coming, everybody. So brace
yeah,
yourself. But I do a whole section on social media strategy now, which has been added since, which I don't know whether we did it in our cohort. We
no,
did ads. Did we do a bit of ads? I mean, I'm not a
yeah, yeah,
massive fan of talking about ads, because
yeah,
paid for ads, we can advertise in loads of ways, but paid for ads when you're starting out is not advisable, because you
yeah,
can just leak money and you don't get a return straight
yeah,
away. And actually, what you need to do is go and actually hire an expert, is what I'm finding
yeah,
now. Someone who really
yeah,
understands how the Facebook meta business
yeah,
stuff works in the back end.
yeah,
And Facebook can offer this for free. If you've already spent money, they will move towards you and say, oh, we'll give you a marketing expert, but they say there's like a minimum spend. And my
yeah,
experience of that wasn't amazing either. But actually, we can do all this stuff without having, well, the cost is our time and maybe a little bit of a learning curve, but we can do it without having to put our hands in our pocket at a time when perhaps our business isn't earning enough
yeah.
to justify it at the
And I think
moment.
that's the thing that
But
holds people back, isn't it?
yeah, it is, and there's a worry there, and I've shared my worries with this. I mean, if you've been in the group for more than like a year, you would have. I've done a couple of experiments with paid ads, and I always go and share them what the results were, because I often hear it's happening again. What this time of year, if there's been
Yeah,
lots of moves towards you need to get back on Facebook ads, like for businesses, particularly small businesses. I'm more skeptical than ever, because the first time I heard, I was like, yeah, okay. Nothing happened. I heard it again about August last year. So I was like, well, I'm going to go for it this time. I'm going to really put my money where my mouth is. And I invested £1,000. I gave myself £1,000 budget, just didn't get a return. And it wasn't until I went back to the basics.
yeah,
And then the journey was, I was doing a lot of work for tutors in our tutoring group, like for
yeah,
trying to help people. And again, a lot of value, putting a lot of trying to give a lot of value out there as much as I
yeah,
can. But my own
yeah,
tutoring business was doing okay, but it could have been better. And I was like, actually,
yeah,
I need to make sure I look after this thing, because otherwise no one's going to, all my credibility goes. And so I went
yeah,
back and looked at the basics of social media and like, just get yourself visible, make sure you're giving value to people, Q&As, live sessions. I did a lot of live Q&As on through Zoom that I record and then
yeah,
put onto Facebook.
yeah,
And then within, I think it was like 6 weeks, I was full up again. And
yeah,
that's what we all need to do. We need to
yeah,
have some sort of a system that works for us, because we spoke off camera and we was talking about I talk about packaging up services
yeah,
in the course,
yeah,
and you were saying, look, I tried that in this way, but it didn't work. And you need
yeah,
to listen to what works to your cohort. So
yeah,
and I'm a really big believer. I say, look, this is what's working for me. All I'm sharing with you is these are
yeah,
the foundations of business. This is what's working for me. This is taking me this far. And I know there's new tactics if we need to grow, because that's hiring people, but this is it. This is where we're at. However, you need to take what you learn and apply it in your world, because your world is
yeah,
going to be different to mine. Your clients are
yeah,
going to be different. And even though we all share kind of the ideal client, we come from different parts of the country,
yeah,
sometimes different parts of the world. And the way
yeah,
that you put it out there is going to
yeah,
make a difference to your clients. And so
definitely,
I'd say it's your stuff, and you've got to do what works for
yeah,
you.
definitely.
Yeah.
It's how, yeah, like you say, it's your cohort, isn't it? And
Yeah.
that's always obvious to me And I know we've had these discussions in your group, we've had discussions in other groups that some of us are members in as well. When you talk about pricing points, not, you know, as those of us who are further in the journey know, I started on a ridiculously low cost, and I've increased that massively now. But it's not one size fits all, is it?
No,
It's
it's not.
people will only pay what they think you're worth. And if you
Yeah.
want to set your prices, in fact, there's another thing that we took from the course is don't don't price yourself low. Don't price yourself out of the market by going too low. Go high, because then people know or they expect to get the quality from you, and then you can feel justified. But it's not the charge for a tutor is £150 an hour, flat out. That's what everybody should charge. It doesn't work if you're in, you know, a poor community that people haven't got the affordability for that, you know. But and then there's another thing for me, that's what happens in my business, isn't it? As you know, Rich, I don't just offer weekly sessions, I offer fortnightly sessions
Yeah.
to help people afford that. And okay, they might not be ideal, but at least then those parents that want a tutor are having some support a couple of
Yeah.
times a month, 3 times a half term, which is better than nothing, and they can then afford my
Yeah.
service.
But then there's
So it's about
experimenting
getting
there,
it
isn't
right.
there?
Yeah,
Like, so that was we were talking about like the packaging stuff before, and you're saying, oh, do you know
yeah,
what? I put it out in this way, and I was like, but look, actually, you just sometimes have to go and experiment before you
yeah,
know what works.
yeah,
Go and put it out there. You tried
yeah,
it didn't. You
that's
went back to one rate, and it was absolutely
yeah,
fine. Stick
yeah,
with what works. It doesn't mean
it,
that it's not going to work in the future, and it might be. Do you know
yeah,
what? 2 years down the road, you know it's a
yeah,
tool that
right
you can
again,
come back to if
yeah,
if it's appropriate.
yeah,
Look, one thing which I know for sure is that business is simple in a sense that you just need to sell something for more than what it costs you, right? So that's
yeah,
one thing.
yeah, yeah.
But the way people buy is complicated, and the way that
Mm-hmm.
their decision making can be very complex. And
Yeah,
we need to make it as easy as we can for the people we connect with, and
yeah,
that's as much as what we need, really.
yeah, definite. It's like if you think like you're going online shopping or you're going into a supermarket and you're looking at what's available, what's on the shelves, what's in the different, you know, categories of, well, this is what I market for this age group, this is what I market for this key stage, this is what I
Mm,
market for these exams, and go have that focus of what does it look like, but actually know that you've not just got one product to offer, have you? You know,
yeah,
you've got to tailor that. And again, that's what the language I use when I'm selling to parents is that all of my sessions are bespoke and unique. They are not
mm,
fitting to the curriculum for
mm,
every child. You know, it's what that child needs, what your family needs, and my way of
mm,
support. And
yeah,
it is experimenting, isn't it? And it's
mm,
finding out, especially I think when you're starting out, have in mind that you know what you want to offer, but be open to change, be
mm,
flexible.
mm.
Again, I
Yeah,
see a
there's
lot of
so many different business models that you can choose
yeah,
from that you don't
yeah,
have to just go in one lane anymore. You can go, well,
yeah,
my Monday and Tuesdays offer one-to-ones. On Wednesdays, I'm going to do like these drop-in workshops. On Thursday, I'm going to do whatever. You can just balance it the way that that suits you best. What's going to get you to your dream destination,
yeah,
your end business goal the fastest, and what's going
yeah,
to give the most amount of value to the most amount of people. That's what
definitely.
we should be. We're a service-based industry, like that is what it is. So we've got to provide a service of some sort. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But also know there's something else from the course as well. Is know your expertise. Don't offer, you know, too much. Make
Yeah.
sure you're honing in on
Yeah.
what have 3, 4, 5 different things that you do offer, but actually what's your main I can't think of the words, and you know that's to do with the aging brain. But your
It's your niche,
main
right? So what's your
yeah,
main and your passion? We
there you
say like,
go.
what's your passion? What if you was waking up every day, what would you
Yeah,
choose to teach?
yeah.
What would be the thing
And
that you jumping out of
I'd
bed?
go phonics, I'm going reception kids, I'm going key stage one, I'm going maths, I'm going English, I'm going stat support,
Yeah.
I'm going key stage three as well. Actually, now what do I mainly do? Yes, I've got a lot of key stage one kids and some home ed, but my main thing is my stats. I'm driven to offer the 5 and 6 support stats.
Yeah.
So, you know, and
Yeah.
I know then that's the main thing that I focus each week. I know I've got X amount of kids that are doing X amount of maths topics and X
Mm,
amounts of English. So we go, not that again, not one size fits all, but I know generally then I've got all these practice papers and we do it in a certain, I don't sit and do the practice papers with them. We do it in particular ways, and I've got particular ways that certain kids do. We could go off forever again here, couldn't we? Should do another podcast.
We could. But there's a one thing in particular that jumps out from what you've said.
Yeah.
For me, is that people will go, oh yeah, but loads of people are doing like year 5 and 6 sats. Yeah, they are, but what they're doing is proving the market for you. Don't let that put you off. What they're showing you is that this is a market that people will buy and purchase, and there's so many different ways of doing it. You can do it in a face-to-face workshops, you can do it online workshops, you can do it one-to-one, you can do pre-recorded. So I was working, unfortunately we couldn't get it off the ground, but I was working with another tutor who'd already pre-recorded in a very particular way the maths sats. Well, she did it all actually, but it was the math sats that really caught my attention because the way she did it. And I was like, I reckon we could sort of collaborate. But something changed and I couldn't upload them. Basically, I couldn't host them. Not yet. I'm hoping still to be able to do it. But I know that, again, that is another way of getting families to engage in something, but in a really affordable way. The value's still high, but perhaps they can't afford that one-to-one tutor, but they could, say, afford £50 for something that they could constantly reuse and go back to as pre-recorded. So it's that creativity part that I want us to dig into when we're in the course. It's like, look, your bigger purpose. Yes, definitely. Let's figure out what's going to get you excited every single day to get up and teach. The next one is, how are we going to get you there? What's the plan? Let's figure out what the tasks are. And then the rest is like all what I call the nitty gritty of the business. It's like, how are you going to price it? What's the value? How are you going to actually be profitable? Because that's what business is about. And how are we going to feel less guilty about perhaps making between 5K and 10K a month? Doing something we love, because lots of us will feel guilty about that. That mindset around, you're all right to earn a living doing these things. People are going to thank you. They're going to pay you, and they're going to thank you for it. They're going to value you, which is like really weird if you're just starting out. It's a very strange transition right through to ideas of how to have passive income. The last session now is all focused on passive income and how we can use our expertise and pull it in a way. And I'm not a massive fan of the word passive income because I think it takes a lot of work to get it. So I don't think it's truly passive, but that's kind of where we take you. And that's taking from beginning all the way to the end of having an idea of how you want to see your life. That's where it all starts.
Definitely.
Right. Thank you so much. Is there anything that we could do, anything else that we can talk about that would either give you, we need to put some things in this, like, so we can promote your YouTube and TikTok channel. So we'll put your links in, right? We'll put your links in there so people can share and take inspiration, because that's what it's about. Is there anything else, Rachel, that we need to talk about?
I was just going to say, I'm no expert, and I have had no expert come and help me. Everything I've done, I've learned, that, and I learn along the way. I've got teenage kids, so they kind of help and guide sometimes. But I think the point of that is that, one, I'm saying to people, you can do it yourself. You haven't, as you've said, you haven't got to invest a lot of money in people. However, I think it, at some point, for me, because it's a big part of what I do, and I would like that to grow, that might be something I do invest in. But also, I am no expert and I'm not qualified and a professional in it, but I'm always happy to talk to other people about it. So if anybody wants any advice, ask anything, have a look at my socials. I'm more than happy always to share what I do. Take some criticism from people if you think that's not work. You think that could, I'm open.
Great. I would recommend getting in contact with Rachel as well. It's brilliant. Thank you, Rachel. I appreciate your time. And I'm sure that we will do another one of these in the future based on TikTok stardom and YouTube plaques. Right? YouTube plaques. That's what we want to see in the background next time.
The blue ticks I need, isn't it? That's it.
Well, no, they're paid for now, aren't they? Just go and get one. It costs you like £8 a month.
Can I drop one? Can I drop one, actually? So I am on Instagram as well, but that's not massive on Instagram. Official Paul Burrell, if anybody's into the old I'm a Celebrity. I get the odd like and comment from him now and again. Yes. Yeah,
no
when you're on socials as well, do not be frightened, honestly, of tagging people. like BBC Bite Size, I tag them regularly, and Magic Whiteboard. If anybody uses the Magic Whiteboard paper, they've commented it in the hope they're like, if I keep doing them, they might send some my way.
It'd be like an affiliate, yeah.
Can you imagine? And it's things like that, take these opportunities. Don't be scared,
I'm definitely going to add a sound effect of a drop when you put. Well, there's definitely going to be a sound effect there, Rach. But I do appreciate that. That's really cool. Do you know what though? That's like the equivalent now of getting an autograph of somebody, getting like,
isn't it? Yeah. Sophie Ellis Bextor, she's another one. She commented on something last year. Yeah, just tag away. Paul Burrell came from, I put something on for the Queen's Jubilee, I think, last year on Instagram. And I thought I'd seen him on the telly, so I tagged him. And I've ended up having, I don't know, maybe like 10 likes off him.
Amazing.
Commented on a couple of things,
But like, don't underestimate like the reach of that. Like that reach goes massive because they like it, and then people who follow them will see what they like. It's kind of a weird kind of algorithm. It's great. I love that. But again, Rach, thank you so much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you, Rich.
I was appreciating spending time with you anyway, so it's really cool. Right, thanks, Rach. See you soon. Bye-bye.